Hello Internet! Welcome to Try Honda's channel. Today we are going to go through a basic introduction to poker chips. So let's dive right in. These are what your parents or your grandparents probably played with. Cheap discs, and they have those interlocking rings in them. So the only reason I bring these up is it is really the main reason why these exist. Now these are dice chips, and this is what most people have today. I'm going to explain why these are absolute junk. The only reason they exist is because when someone was looking at these, some chip manufacturer back in the day said, well, hey, let's make a chip more like a casino chip that's heavier, because these are flimsy and lightweight, and casino chips are heavy, right? Wrong. But hey, we wanted to try. So what they did was they took a metal disc and they coated it in plastic. This is, you can hear how these sound like metal. You can hear the metal tinging in them. So essentially a metal slug coated in plastic. Now these are very similar. They're a little bit softer plastic. Don't sound quite as tingy, but with all plastic chips, I wanted to note and point out that almost all of these plastic chips have some sort of a injection port dimple on the chip. That's a clear indication that it's plastic. 95% of all the chips out there that are advertised as being clay are not. I will tell you, I've seen these chips marketed as being clay, 100% ABS plastic, and 100% junk. Now, why would we not want these chips in our game? Think about it. You can buy this chip for 2 cents on Craigslist or 5 or 10 cents at Walmart. And if you're using these as a $25 chip in your game, I have the opportunity to make a lot of money by introducing a couple of those from time to time. Now, people might or might not do that, but why have the possibility even exist? So just get rid of them. Don't use them. Just another quick example of a plastic chip, and I wanted to show you the same thing. This doesn't have a metal slug, so people are thinking, oh, it's clay, but it has a little dimple in there, just like this one. They have those little injection port dimples, so you know they're plastic. Even though they don't sound metal, they're still plastic. All right, so let's talk a little bit about moving into a little bit better chips. Now, when you're starting to talk about chips, we want to have clay or some higher end material. These are what we refer to as China clay chips. Now, China decided to get into the game because they do that with everything, right? And they created these China clay chips, essentially trying to mimic a casino chip by taking a clay-like substance and pressing it into a mold with edge spots. And it's created what would be arguably a very decent chip. They don't have any metal discs in the middle. They sound nice. Okay, and they're a clay-like substance. They will actually take mineral oil. You can actually oil these up and make them kind of protected and shine a little bit. So they are porous material. And they're a very nice design. This is a company called Claysmith, and their Milano line. Very, very popular. And if you showed up at a home game with something like this, you could not embarrass yourself. All right, those are nice. There's all kinds of different examples of these China clay chips. I'm not going to show you every single one that I have, but just a few examples. There's these Championship Poker Series ones, and you notice that these chips and chips in general, when we talk about the mold, we're talking about that impression that's left by the press of these chips. And now this happens to be a tower and spear mold. And there's a sticker on side. All right, so that's this mold. There's the dunes, and you notice they have a house dunes mold. The Pharaoh's chips. These are the desert palms. All China clays. They all sound a little different. My number one advice to folks that are looking at getting new chips is always get samples. If you're not sure, go to some of the chip manufacturers and order like see if they can sell you a sample pack of one of each chip, or order a set of each one. That way you get a feel for what you like and what you don't like. It's really important when it comes to selection, because you get a chip set and then realize, I don't like these, and you're kind of screwed. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about some of the other clay chips that are out there. Oh, actually, let's talk about ceramics first. Ceramics are another option. Okay, these are essentially a ceramic disc that has a dye sublimation that runs the entire width. You can put an image on that entire width. So if you're doing this customized, it gives you a lot of options. This allows you to have printed images on the rolling edge, like numbers and spots, and it can be very detailed as far as the artwork that you want to put on here. These are generally going to cost you 50 to 60 cents per chip. If you wanted to have them customized, maybe 80 cents per chip. But you can get some decent looking ceramic chips for relatively low cost, and they're a decent product. And here how they sound. They're nice. I prefer clay chips, just my preference, but the ceramics are definitely an option. And let's talk about some other clay chips and whatnot. These are some chips that are clay, manufactured in the 1930s. Just giving you some examples of what some historical chips look like. These are on the Lazy S mold. Somebody ordered some hot stamp chips, probably from the Chicago area. I think that's where these chip manufacturer originates from. Here's another manufacturer, TRK. And if you happen to hear about them, I've heard a lot of people say, hey, well, tell me about TRKs. Well, I'm not going to go into a ton of details. Just Google TRK. But you can say they have these crowns on them, and they have a large crown and a small crown version. And if you see the TRK chips, they're desirable. They don't make them anymore, but sometimes you can find them on Craigslist or eBay, and definitely worth your time if that's something that you see them cheap, snag them. There's probably worth something. All right, that's going to do it for part one. Next, I'm going to move on to some more high-end clay chips, and go ahead and find part two, and I'll see you there.